This is Matt from MGMT Boston. On this episode of The Lantern, we are in Quincy in a beautiful park today with Steph from Startup Boston and Shweta from Boston New Technology, two pillars of the Boston startup ecosystem, to talk about what's going on this spring in Startup Boston ahead of the Techstars Weekend, where Steph is going to be one of the judges and Shweta is helping organize. So we're going to try to mush it all into one on this episode of The Lantern. Thank you all for joining us. Steph, what's going on at Startup Boston this summer as we head into September 8th, Startup Boston Week?
Yes, well, I'm really excited to be here with these two fabulous humans. So thank you so much for having me. Really, from this end of things, Startup Boston is all about creating different events that support the startup community. What we personally like to do and what we're focusing on is helping connect groups of individuals who might have difficulty connecting with one another in everyday life. So examples of this that we've done in the past that we're looking to replicate in different ways in the future are, highlighting all the accelerator programs that are located throughout the startup community and really putting them front and center so founders have an easy way to go and figure out what's available to them. We do the same thing with networking groups. What we do have coming up on June 4th is our mentor exchange for first-time founders. So really connecting founders with mentors. We'll have another co-founder matching event before Startup Boston Week. And again, just really kind of doubling down on helping connect people to one another throughout the greater Boston and New England startup scene.
That's amazing, Stephanie. Thank you for sharing that. It's needed, right, in Boston, as a new time founder, as an early stage founder, not knowing what to do, where to go. So definitely check out Startup Boston, and it's going to be Startup Boston Week in September.
Yep, September 8th to 12th. It's free, and there's thousands of people there, okay? There's going to be 7,000 new friends at that week. So you better register, right now.
Exactly, do it. And Stephanie, you touched base on a great point. So as you are judge at the Startup Weekend, which is on May 30th, what would you advise someone who is participating, what they should be looking for as a judge? What would count them to I can do this?
So first and foremost, I think Techstars Startup Weekend is such an incredible event, right? Because it really works to provide anyone who's interested in ever building a startup, really a sandbox to go play in. It puts you in touch with folks for 72 hours of other passionate folks who are interested in starting a company, and really gives you a judgment-free zone to go and play with other ideas, to go and learn the ins and outs of starting a new company from scratch. So definitely go and sign up for the weekend. I'm excited to see you all. What I'm looking for in startups that participate in that weekend are really ideas that are pinpointing a problem within a specific industry, any industry at all, but really identify clearly a problem, a need that industry faces, and then really defines what type of solution could go and solve that problem. Really starts that beginning part of identifying a product market fit. And you're going to learn all about how to do that through the awesome mentors at Startup Weekend for sure.
And Steph, since we have you here, we have to ask, you are the founder of Startup Boston, worked at Goldcast, growing that venture stage company. You started your own company too before that. Yep. What have you learned building startups? What would be some of your advice to people attending Techstars Startup Weekend, up and coming operators, other founders in the ecosystem? What should they know about building startups?
Oh my goodness. Definitely seeking advice for things you don't know. Matt and I had a conversation before we recorded this, so we will not disclose those contents, but I shared with him something I did not know, and he gave me awesome advice. So I think definitely, seeking advice of folks that know something that you do not is a very valuable asset to have as a founder. As a founder, you don't need to know everything, but you need to know who to go and kind of share what you don't know, and find someone as smart as Matt or someone else in your field to go and ask advice from. But I think that's definitely something that as a founder, you should be able to pinpoint what your weak spots are and go and learn from others that are better or stronger in that area than you.
Stephanie, you brought a great point. Sometimes go and find the people, work with them. Sometimes I think even if, let's say I'm a student or I'm a engineer or I'm a professional, I have an idea, but I'm scared. I don't know if I can work on it. So what would you advise someone to get out of their comfort zone and just give it a shot, do it?
Yeah, I think the hardest part is starting, right? I think the hardest part is just being okay with not knowing how it's going to go. That part is always scary, but the more and more you practice that muscle of just doing something and knowing that you might end up falling on your face and it just might not work out, but you're okay with it, the more and more you practice that muscle, the easier it actually gets to be okay just kind of doing it anyway. And you just learn something new about yourself every single time. So there are things that I've done at Startup Boston that have not worked out and we just don't do them anymore. Same thing at the other two previous companies I've done. I think that that's just part of the journey. And I know it's a very cliche thing to say to fail fast, but it's true, right? You do want to find out quickly, like, okay, is this a good idea? Can I do this? And just really taking that first step of figuring out if you can do it is the hardest part. And once you do that, you're going to be okay.
Startup Weekend coming up at the end of May. Steph from Startup Boston, September 8th, don't forget. And Shweta, thank you for joining us on this episode of Lantern. I'm Matt from MTMT Boston. Thanks for joining us.
Bye, guys.